There we go. Okay, so these are our clubs. In District 5, we have clubs in Michigan and Ohio, and we did have to remove 3 clubs from the last time this presentation was given. Cincinnati, Tiffin, and Xenia are no longer clubs, but we are working on a new club in the Mason, Westchester area near Cincinnati. So hopefully we can get that up and running within this next biennium. Good luck, Julie. So we already did our introductions. I did send the Signs of a Healthy Club out to you. And that document was from the international website. And that's called Visit to the Doctor, the annual checkup. So
let me make sure in the bottom corner it says mute. Unmute.
So we have.
Okay. No, there's not. No, mine doesn't have a camera. If I hit the.
So we'll talk about the Signs of the Healthy Club, the incoming president's checklist, the club president's handbook, websites and resources, and meetings, including virtuals and do and don't tips. So next slide. And you might be asking yourself, what did I get myself into? What's next? What do I have to do? When? How can I get help? So this is one of the reasons we have this workshop. We're all here to help you. Your district board, Julie has a great board coming in. They will all be there to help you. We have membership chairs who would be willing to help you. And of course, you can reach out to any of the other clubs if you have one near. So there are lots of resources for you to get some help. So let's go right into the president's checklist. In March or sooner, you want to select your installation committee. So as the club president, you should be doing an installation ceremony of all the officers. And so we want to make sure that you try to do that, get that started in March. You want to look at the Altrusa International Resource Guide, the bylaws, your club's policies and procedures, and other publications, including the President's Handbook. And the President's Handbook has been, had many revisions, and it's really, they've gotten it down to a pretty good sized document. It used to be a huge document. So it is, we did send that out to you. I hope that you will take some time and look through that. You want to appoint your committee chairs, except the nominating committee, which is elected. So you want to make sure all your chairs are in place, and different clubs have different chairs. You might not all have, I mean, you should all have at least a service chair and a fundraising chair. You might have, our club has a literacy chair. We have a chair for our ringing of the Salvation Army bell, and we have a chair for our blood drive that we do the canteen for annually. So you might have special project chairs, and you'll want to get those people lined up. And it's really good to switch people up a little bit. I know sometimes people get set in their, you know, in their position, and they don't really want to move on or do something different, but it is kind of nice to get to have well-rounded members and to allow them to experience all of the things. And you can do that very well. And I hear on here we have a lot of co-presidents, and we have the vice presidents. You can do that really well. Even in the committees, you can do a co-chair of a committee or a chair and a vice chair, so that more people are getting some experience. You want to meet with the club strategic planning committee to see what changes are necessary. There is a template on the international website. I believe we have Well, I know Linda Beaver, when she was the strategic planning chair, she did reach out to every single club and did get every single club to have a strategic plan. The new strategic plan format is so simple and so easy to plug your items in. Of course, we model the districts after international, and then, you know, each club can model theirs after the district one. So you can take a look at that. If you haven't seen your club's strategic plan, please, please find out from your other president and take a look at that. And I really want, I know, plan to attend this district conference and encourage members to attend, except when COVID happens and nobody gets to attend. So we will, going forward, I hope we will have a lot more success in this. And honestly, we have a pretty good attendance for our virtual conference. So starting tonight, and that's fantastic. It's really a great way to introduce a member to the conference. Everybody works hand in hand, starting at the club level and moving up to international level. It's really a snapshot of what the district does when you go to district conference. And then if you can attend convention, international convention, that's even more eye-opening. You get to see all of how Altrusa works, and you get a little bit of a better understanding of why we do the things that we do, why we work so hard to keep the traditions and some of the rules in place that may seem like, oh gosh, why do we have to keep doing this every year? It really does help everything run smoothly and helps keep our clubs doing what we do best, and that's serving our communities. So in April, you want to appoint your committees early in April and conduct club program planning session or a retreat. And this can double as your initial meetings of your committees. So basically you kind of want to do a handoff of the information. You want to make sure that the incoming chairs of the committees and the incoming people who are members of those committees understand what you've done. They obviously might have some new ideas, but if you have that transition time where you're meeting with each other, that works really well. So ask the committee chairs to meet the committee members in late April and set goals based on the club's strategic plan. And then meet with your new committee chairs to discuss the club goals and the budget request for the next year. That's one of the important things. Our club didn't always have a finance committee, and so it kind of wasn't officers and committee chairs to international. That is very, very, very important. That is on the group tally. The group tally, you want to make sure you put everything in. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at the chat here. I think because I can't see everyone, if you have a question, if you could use the chat box, please, and just say, I think you can.
Well, I tell you, these, we are becoming more
raise your hand in there. And
savvy here. I haven't had to do so much technology since I.
Okay, so again, this is in group tally. You want to make your list of your club officers and committee chairs, and it's very, very important for you to do that. And it helps everybody. It helps the district too, because we have people communicate. The officers and the chairs want to communicate with the clubs, and that way we know the right person to be able to communicate with. It was a little tricky for us. In my biennium at the beginning, we had a lot of trouble getting our president's list together. I was taking it from group tally, but then we'd email and someone would say, I'm not the president any longer. So it took us a little bit. So it's important to update that information as well in group tally. And then of course, attend the president's workshop, which you are all doing. So thank you very much. Okay, Karen, let's talk after. I'll see if I can help you. And then in May, you want to enjoy your installation ceremony. And make sure your club activity report is submitted by the deadline. This does determine the distinguished clubs, and really many of you would qualify as a distinguished club if you just make sure the report is filled out. And I did include the read-only file for the new club activity report, and they have simplified it. They have tried to make sure that it's really something that we want to keep track of and that is necessary to keep track of. But please try to fill out that report. And it doesn't always come out at the same time. I know one year it really didn't come out until late July. That was when they were first experimenting with sending it out as a link, but it should come out to you as a link. And if you need any help with that at all, please reach out to someone at district or one of your other club members who maybe has filled that out before, because we all want to recognize those clubs for all that you do, and this helps us to do that. So please fill that out. And then you want to also, in May, decide the upcoming projects for the year. And I didn't include it, and I will try to send it out to each of you. We have a person in my club created just a little sheet, a form that you can fill out for suggesting a project or a fundraiser. So you can use it if you want, you don't have to, but it kind of helps if you can give that out to all of your members and see if there are any new projects or fundraisers that someone might enjoy doing or someone might have an idea about. We can all use some new ideas. So I'll try to remember to send that out to everyone. And then we are going to say the most important paperwork to submit. Your roster of your club officers and committee chairs. I can't stress this enough. It really needs to get to group tally. So I know we do have some questions about group tally. We have a slide on it, but it won't do justice. You really need to get in there hands-on. So if you have questions, I will help you afterwards, or even at a later date to help you get that through. The international president, Beverly Hardy, just last week, unfortunately, I still haven't had a chance to view it, but she did send out a PowerPoint presentation or a little video on group tally. So I will view that and get that out to you as well. And that might help answer all your questions before, but if not, please reach out to me and we will help get you your help that you need for the group tally, because it's so important that all that gets taken care of. And then you want to make sure that you're putting all the officers and chairs, and also distinguishing whether it's a current president or a treasurer or an outgoing president or treasurer. It does keep that information so that we have that as past reference too. So we want that information as well. And then another important paperwork to submit, and I didn't attach this either. I was going to send that out. We have a club visit request form that goes out from the club from the district officers. We like to visit your clubs once a year, and we are all signed to a different club. Obviously with COVID, we didn't get to do that as well this biennium, but many of you were able to have the officers join via Zoom, some even in person, so we appreciated that. But please make sure you respond to that club visit request form as soon as you get it or shortly thereafter, so that we can get those visits lined up. It's really, I think some people feel like it's the officers checking up on you, but it really isn't. We really just love to learn about all that you're doing and want to make sure that we can help you. If you have any questions or if you have any concerns, anything the district can help you with, that's really the purpose of those visits. It's not to spy on you or to make you feel like you're not doing something right, or, to punish you in any way. It really is more of a fun, just see how you're doing and get your questions answered. And it's a way for you to hear from a different club too. I mean, you might not interact with any other clubs. And so at least the visitor would be from another club and can say, hey, we do this or we do that. And so it's always a good time. And like Victoria said, they're always great. And we look forward to them too. We look forward to going out and seeing everyone and meeting all of you. And then another important paperwork submittal is award nominations, and that generally goes out in the end of December and they're due February 1st. So you want to make sure that you get any awards in for your club by February 1st to the awards chair or the club that sponsors the award. It gives you the information on each award. Again, that's something that you should be proud of all your projects, and no matter how minimal you think it is or how, you don't think you're going to win, you think Branch County's going to win everything. Sorry, I had to say that since Julie's the incoming governor. Seriously, Branch County wins a lot because they submit their award nominations. So really, you can't win if you don't submit the award nomination, and they're very simple to fill out. In fact, last year or the year before that, our club sat down during a meeting and just broke into groups to fill out each award, so that one person just took notes and then that person typed it up, and we did win an award that year. And it was very uplifting for our club because we've never really submitted them before. So it's really, again, it's like the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. you can't get an award if you don't enter your nomination. So I'll get off my soapbox on that one. Also, you need to make sure your conference delegates get in by March. And we usually send that out. The district secretary sends that information out with the delegate and alternate, asking who your delegates are and who your alternates are. So you want to do that as soon as that notice goes out. And then again, the club activity report, usually May or June, but sometimes International doesn't send it out right away. I believe it's very simple now. They just send the link out and you just click on the link and fill it out. It really is much more fine-tuned than it used to be. So again, if you need help with that, we're here to help you. And then you have important district and international forms. We're saying this multiple times, so it must really, really, really be important. Report your officers and committee chairs to International, and it should be updated in group tally as soon as possible. And actually, that's really the only place you need to submit it now, I believe. I don't think you even need to. We used to have to fill out this whole form, but as long as you get it into group tally, you're good. And that's what we need you to do. And then send the information to your district governor and treasurer as well. And that's just so that, again, my biennium, we kind of had a little bit of tricky time getting all the presidents lined up. So that's just a helpful item for the district to be able to do that. So in speaking of group tally, here it is. This one happens to be Chillicothe. You do need a username and ID, and password, so you will need to set that up. And maybe if you're not getting in, Karen, I think maybe if you're not getting in, that's one of the things you'll need to contact Tanika or David at the International office, and they can help you get your login correct. Also, you have to have permission to do that if you are a new president. So that might be the other issue. If you let the International office know you are the new president, actually the current president should be able to give you that permission. So the current or treasurer, it's a little bit different in each club. Sometimes it's only the treasurer that gets in there, but you are allowed, if you see this group admins down here, you see full admin, so they have full administrative permission. So all of the 4 people in Chillicothe all have full administrative permission, and that is granted by the by the current president. So you can go in there and update that information. And that, again, Karen, might be one of your issues. If you don't have permissions to get in there, you'll want to contact the other president and get in there with their, I mean, you know, have them make you a full administrator. Okay, so where can we get help? Altrusa website, the international website is so much easier to maneuver through now. Some things are still in different areas that you might not expect or you might not think to look, but they do have a search button, and I'm telling you, I use that constantly, and it does bring up a whole list of things, so you might still have to, you know, weed through some paperwork to find what you need, but it will likely come up if there's, first of all, if it's in there, and secondly, if you're using a keyword that it'll hit on. But if you have any trouble with that, again, please contact someone at the district level or another member of your club. You will get publications from the international office. One thing that is very important, and I know I have had some people say they aren't getting their publications, the Altrusa Compass and those types of items, the DSB. One thing to note, if you put that you want to be deselected from the unsubscribe, sorry, I can't remember the term, unsubscribe from any international, anything that's sent out from the international office, it will unsubscribe you from everything. So you can't just unsubscribe from the Altrusa Compass or, you know, whatever. It will unsubscribe you from everything. So that's one thing that you really want to make sure. And then another thing is, please make sure that your email address is correct in Group Tally, because that is where we go to find, you know, to find emails and to get the items out to you. So the international office uses that Group Tally to do that. So make sure that your email address is updated if you happen to change yours. And then again, you can call, email, or instant message or text your immediate past president, assuming they can leave the club or whatever. If that's the case, you can contact one of the other members of your club, and surely they'll be there to help you. I don't think anybody in Altrusa would say, no, I'm not going to help you. At least I hope that wouldn't be the case. And a board member, our information, our names, and I should check that. I'm not entirely sure now. I think our emails are on the DSB on the front every time. But if not, you can contact the international office and get our emails, and we'd be glad to help you with anything, or pick up the phone and call us. If you email me and want to talk to me, that's fine. You know, give me your phone number, or I'll give you mine, and then you can talk to me anytime you want. And Julie, I'm sure it will be the same concept. And then your club president's handbook, which is newly revised, and I did send that out to you. That is actually as of January 2020. Like I said before, they have updated that very, like, more frequently than they used to, and it's very much streamlined to help answer questions. It's a really good resource. And the next is the international website. Again, I really love that they made the username and password. I don't particularly like the password because it's long, but at least you know you can find it and you don't have to remember a personal one of your own for yet another website. So it is a single login to all the items except the Group Tally information, which is a separate website. And again, that is one that you do need a separate username and password for, is Group Tally. And then District 5, we have our website as well, and you can get information from there. Nancy Kunzig is the one who updates that currently. And Julie, remind me of who your incoming will be.
I'm sorry, I hit It took me all,
Okay.
now I don't know where I am.
There, right there.
Right there? Okay.
Yep.
Peggy Rowan from Columbus is going to be doing the website.
Okay, good. So on the international website, there's information about the foundation, which is very important to share with your members. The International Foundation supports projects, and they also give grants to all of the clubs. That's another item that you want to take advantage of. If you have a project that you'd like to get some money for, especially if it's a new project that you haven't tried before and you need some startup funds, that's a great way to do it. There are 2 grant cycles, March and September. I believe that they're still doing them in the same months. And those are awarded, you know, twice a year and just really easy to get if you have a project that you want to support. There are leadership articles, there are marketing materials. There are so many. What they've done now is put together toolkits. There's a membership toolkit, there's a revitalization toolkit. Those toolkits are very easy to follow. They have lots of great information in them, so you want to make sure that you look at that. And the marketing materials, they have sample publications that you can use for your club. Just a lot of great resources there. The officers, committees, and staff are listed on the international website. The publications are on there. We have service projects and fundraisers, past winners, so you can get information there if you want to try to look for a new project or fundraiser. And of course, the strategic plan and template are on there. And we also have a long-range strategic planning chair at the district level. That person can help you with that as well. The website links for district and club, and then the file sharing site. Now the file sharing, we're still working on that with at district level. There's some concern about, we had a lot of clubs that got hacked, and some of them actually even sent money to someone that wasn't an Altrusan. So we're trying to make sure that that's safe and a good way for everybody to get information. So we're still working on that at the district level. Okay, so now the club president's handbook, you can kind of follow along with your handbook if you have it there. I realize it is 54 pages long, so it is lengthy, but it's not anywhere near what it used to be, and it does have an extensive table of contents, so you can find things easily. Since it's online, you really don't have to print it if you don't want to, but you know, I don't know. I'm old-fashioned. I like to have paper in my hand when I read something. So if I'm just reviewing something or looking it up, I don't necessarily print it, but in order to actually have it as a resource, I like to have it printed. So you can log into the international website and find under publications and manuals and the club presidents. It is revised from January 2020, and it's also under committees, leadership, development, and then resources. So we'll just walk through the table of contents. The first area is an introduction about what a club president is and what your responsibilities are, and to the club, to its members, to the board of directors, to the district, and to international. And then it has some tools and resources and what to do before you take office under that introduction. And then we have chapter 1, which is leadership. And everyone can be a leader in Altrusa. And I know a lot of times people don't feel like they're good enough. They don't feel like they have enough information. But Altrusa is one of those groups that you can step up to be a leader in any way that you see fit. You don't have to be the president. It's great that all of you did step up to be the president, but you can also make sure that you have, lead from any position that you have. And Ann says that she printed it off and put sticky notes next to all of the items that she felt were important. And so that's a good idea too. We have those little sticky tabs that can mark anything that you want or that you feel is important to you. That's a good idea, Ann, thank you. There is, chapter 2 is planning and evaluating, and again, that's part of when you take office, you want to make sure you're looking at the information and planning what your club will do next. So let's see, are we? Yeah, lots of answers to your questions in the President's Handbook, most definitely. So we've got your goal setting and helping with that under the planning and evaluating section. And then under the presiding, there is information on how to run the meeting. You do need a good agenda. You need, I think I think we have all this mapped out, so maybe I don't need to go through it each one now. I think, let me just read through these. We have working with the board of directors, your club finances, your membership and development, and then it has information on Astra and Altrusa in the public eye, communications, files and reports, awards, and the Altrusa International Foundation. There are resources under all of those. So it is 54 pages. So here I kind of got ahead of myself here. We have the leadership tasks on the next slide. So we'll kind of walk through these. Again, you want to have your vision of what you want your presidency to look like. And it doesn't have to be what the last president did. In fact, it shouldn't be. You are your own person and you should be able to make sure that you run the club as you would like to have it run, of course, under the guidelines of all the things that we need to do. You want to identify your priorities. You do need to set an agenda. That's one of the more important items when you're running a meeting. You want to make sure that you have an agenda so that you can follow along and that the meeting will run smoothly and stay on track. You want to establish direction and overall strategy. And you want to be the model for your club. You want to make sure that you're the person who is setting the stage for what you want your club to do and what you want it to look like. So you want to make sure that you come to the meetings on time, be prepared, show your club members that it's important to you. All of those things that you feel are important, if you model that for them, that helps them it helps all of you, and it helps you be a stronger club. So you want to have securing your environmental changes and opportunities for communicating. So you want to make sure that everyone has a chance to communicate and make sure that you are communicating with them. And then lobby for support. You want people around you who can support you and help you with your club. So you want to make sure that you're lobbying for that support. You don't have to do everything by yourself. I'm not one to talk about that because I'm terrible at it, but you want to make sure that you do have people you can depend on. Your whole club is there for you. So depend on those people that will help you. Next slide. Again, you want to recruit your people for your key positions. A good leader is so much better by the people around them. And I'm the director of the library here in Shelby County, and I couldn't have done any of the things that I've done here without the support of my staff and my board. And I have wonderful people, and that's one of the things that helps you the most is aligning the people with like the next one says, the direction and the coalition building. So you want to get the right people in the right seats on the bus. You want to motivate and inspire and connect with your members. I know one of the things that's been difficult during this COVID time, I do feel like some of the clubs have lost that connection with their members. I mean, shoot, we've all lost connection with a lot of people during this COVID thing. But it's important to try to have that connecting to the members. If you know someone hasn't been to a couple meetings, reach out to them and say, hey, is there something going on? Can I help you? Do you need a ride? make sure that they feel like a part of the group and connect with them. I know we had that in our club. We had a few people who would sit to the side and they never really felt like anybody was talking to them. So we made a concerted effort to put together a couple people in hospitality role so that they could greet everyone and sit with those people that were sitting off to the side and include them into the group. And that really did help with our club. You want to creatively explore options for all of your tasks and seek any resources that you need for negotiating through your club activities. And another really important item is succession planning. And I think I heard lots of clubs on today have the president, vice president, the co-presidents. That is all helpful for succession planning. You want to make sure that you're being backed up and having the next person in line. So if you don't have a vice president, maybe you should consider having one in your club. If you don't, you could even have the vice president, first vice president. That seems to work really well, to have someone stay in that role or be in that role for 1 year before moving up, and then they get all of that information and can see how the club runs before they step into their role. Next slide. Agenda planning. The agenda is very important. You want to make sure that you have the minutes, the treasurer's report, any correspondence from your community or from members or outside groups that have written you letters. We get a lot of scholarship thank yous when we do our scholarships, so we include that. We get our Chamber of Commerce mailings, so we include that. You want the actions of the executive committee, anything that if you don't have an executive committee, you might want to consider having the executive committee or coming from the board. A lot of us maybe don't have enough members to have the board and an executive committee, but if you have information that needs to get to the club members from the board or the executive committee, make sure you have that on the agenda. Any of the committee reports, and a lot of times these can be standing items on your agenda so that you don't forget, to have somebody do their report. Even if that item, like we keep our Salvation Army bell ringing on each month and we keep our blood drive on each month, even though those events are only once a year. So you can alleviate having to change the agenda frequently if you keep some of those items on there each month, even if you're not necessarily having to report on them each month. And then any unfinished business, and then new business, of course, on the agenda. You want to be as specific as possible. Make sure this is a big one. Make sure you include the actions, any votes. The sign-up sheets are so important. I don't know how many times we come to a meeting and we're saying, oh, we need people to step up and help with the blood drive, and then no one has a sign-up sheet for it. So if you know that you have an event coming up and you want people to sign up for it, this can be either done electronically before the meeting or during the meeting or both, and make sure that people's roles are outlined for your events. And then consider including a time allotted for each item. This just helps run the meeting more smoothly and helps keep everything together and not get so many sidetracked items. If you say, okay, we're going to spend 5 minutes on this. Obviously, if it's something like the budget and you're discussing something big, you want to maybe allot a little more time. If it's just somebody giving a simple report, less time. And that might not come easily until you've done a few meetings. So you might have to kind of get used to how the meeting flows before you can actually assign times. I'm not sure I could ever pick an exact time, and obviously it wouldn't need to be exact. If you go over, you're not going to say, sorry, I said 5 minutes with that. I mean, you don't have to be that strict about it, but it just kind of gives the members an idea of how you want the meeting to flow. And then please make sure you distribute it before the meeting. And that can be at the beginning of the meeting, that's fine. But if you can get it out at all beforehand in an email, that works best. That way people have time to look over it, and if they do have any questions, they can bring their questions to the meetings. Okay. There are certain problems when you run meetings, and if anyone has ever run a meeting, you already know these items, but we'll walk through them and try to help you get some tips on how to manage those. And the first problem is losing focus. People, we have so much going on in our world today. It is easy to get distracted. It's easy to start talking about your dog or your cat or your kid or whatever. And so you want to make sure that if somebody mentions an event and then it goes on to, oh, and my cousin did this last month, and then and on and on and on, you need to make sure you bring that back together. So make sure that you're just getting that focus back together. And then if you do have excessive digressions where people are just not, it's always going down a rabbit hole, you might need to address that with the person afterwards. And yes, I saw in the chat, eye rolling, and I don't know how many meetings I've been a part of where I just feel like either everyone's zoned out or yes, their expressions are very telling. But you might, and if you have someone who's doing that, you might want to take them aside and say, I noticed that this is happening quite a bit when I'm speaking. Is there something you want to discuss with me? Is there some information that you can give me to help you understand the things I'm saying better? You also have lack of participation by some, and then other people want to dominate the conversation. And this is sort of an easy one to eliminate. If you just go around the table and say, Mary, do you have something to say on this topic? And not every topic needs to be discussed at length. So this might not happen very often, but there are some club members who do dominate. And I think, again, you want to make sure that you're being respectful to them and pulling them aside. They might not realize that they're doing that. So if you have someone who's very dominant and just consistently, running the show, so to speak, just try to include the other members by pointing them out. Or you can even do it beforehand to say, hey, I'd like to hear from you about this topic. So give them some time to prepare if you feel that that's necessary. The bickering and disrespectful behavior, this is one of the hard items to, at least for me, to accept out of adult people. You just don't expect that, but I do know it happens. I've seen it. I've been in club visits where people are, talking nonstop and having all these side conversations and being loud and rude. You just really, sometimes you can just stop and be silent and see. That usually gets people's attention more than trying to talk over them. If you just stop and wait, they will get the picture that they need to cool it. You have to come to some conclusion or a decision. So it is a problem if you're meeting every month and you're never coming to a decision. And in that case, you really need to map out what exactly is your goal. What exactly do you want to come to? What is your decision? And then bring that to the club and get that mapped out beforehand. And then again, side conversations to me is kind of the same as bickering and disrespectful behavior. Really, there's no need to have side conversations. Again, you can pull those people aside afterwards, but really if you just stop and wait for them to be finished, that's probably the easiest and most effective way during the meeting to handle it. Okay, so getting back on track, just remind them of the purpose and the agenda item. I mean, that's very easy. You can say, hey, we got off track. You don't have to be mean about it. You can just say, oh, I mean, I do it every once in a while too. I'll start talking about something else and then I'll say, oh, wait a minute, let's get back on track here. I mean, it can just be as simple as that. I think most people understand, you know, we all have things going on, so we all sometimes get distracted. Clarify any questions that are on the table. Make sure that if there is a question on the table, it is being answered, and that you want to make sure that you're making, you know, getting all the information out to them. Yep, that's true. Recognize contributions. So you want to make sure you build your club members up. So if there's anybody who has done something really, really great and who has, you know, chaired a project that you're coming to, recognize their contribution, recognize the fact that they've done a lot of work on it. That goes a long way to having them feel appreciated. And really that's, you know, everybody wants to feel like they're contributing and feel like they're appreciated. So you can recognize those contributions right during the meeting. And you do need to control disruptive behavior. Again, if it's too far out of line, you really need to talk to them after the meeting or on a side note. And you don't have to be the one to do it yourself. Get your vice president, get another club member to, you know, say, hey, we noticed this is really getting a little out of control right now. Can we, you know, our meetings are important. We want to be mindful of everyone's time. Make sure that you try to minimize the disruptive behavior. And if no decision can be made, you can postpone the item and come back to it, especially on the more important ones. Our club right now is trying to find a new service project, and we have several ideas on the table, and we haven't made a complete decision yet. But, you know, so we talked about it at the meeting last month, and hopefully this next month we'll come up with some solutions. Lack of participation, just want to make sure you keep the meeting focused, and you can encourage quiet members and then control those who are being excessive talkers. Again, you might want to do this before the meeting. If you send the agenda out and you know someone has some information that's important, especially if they're a quiet member, or if you want to make sure that they get their voice heard, talk to them before the meeting and say, hey, I really want to hear your opinion on this. Everyone's opinion is important, and I would really like for you to help with this. The question is, do your members decide on service projects by voting on them, or is it from the service committee? And really it can be either or. Like I said, we have this sheet that we fill out for new project ideas, and then we take it. It can come from the service committee, it can come from your board if you don't have a service committee, or it can just come from a member. Don't minimize someone's effort or someone's suggestion. You never know if it might be the award-winning project. It might be the one that really resonates with everyone else. I know we all get set in our ways. We have all these things that we do that we, think we can never stop doing. My example was when I first was president in our club, we sold the nuts like many of the Altrusa clubs do or had done, but we were basically paying to get the nuts. I mean, we weren't raising any money. It was very not effective or productive for us. So yeah, I agree. And all of your members need to be involved and have that buy-in to your projects and your fundraisers. So again, make suggestions and allow some silence to have people think about it. Give them a chance to think about it. That's where you can put that timing in. You can say, okay, this is the suggestion. We're going to take about 5 minutes and think about this, or talk quietly with your neighbors and we'll get back to it. You can break into groups. I believe Akron did that when I was there. one meeting. They broke into groups and just came up with some ideas, or maybe it wasn't Akron. It wasn't Akron, sorry, but I'm pretty sure one of the clubs I visited did that. Actually, Monroe did it one year too. They did a brainstorming session where they broke into groups and, do things like that if you really want to get some ideas generated and some really good conversation going. And then also pay attention to the physical setting. This is one that is so difficult for us. Obviously now with the Zoom, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit easier. Like someone mentioned before, you don't have all those side conversations because you're on Zoom and you're in your own little world here. But we met in restaurants for years, and it was so tricky because you couldn't hear the people. So you want to make sure that you are in an environment. We have, in one of our restaurants we used to meet, it was so dark. One of the presidents brought their own lamp because it was so dark you couldn't even see to, write on your paper. So just kind of pay attention to that too. But I do know it's difficult to find those meeting places. And then reinforce participation. You can say, hey, this is an important topic, an important task. I need everyone's information. I want everyone to try to participate on this. And then chart your responses. And I think when I went to Monroe that year, that's exactly what they did. They wrote up a whole, wrote on the big, sheets, and you can keep track of that and then type it up and send it out so that the people who weren't there can still see what went on. Okay. And concluding meetings, just review your progress and decisions, make sure your assignments and due dates and all your things are in order, make sure you get the sign-up sheet back to the person that needs it. That's another one that sometimes doesn't happen. Everybody leaves and then there's this sign-up sheet and the president says, oh, now I guess I'm stuck with the sign-up sheet. But make sure you get those to the right people. Try to develop items for the next agenda. Obviously, anything that was left undone needs to be done at the next meeting. So right away, these are the things that have to go under unfinished business. Thank everybody for coming. And one that nobody ever follows, but you really do not need a motion to adjourn. I think Altrusa clubs are good at not doing that, but my board still does it at the library. And I'm like, I don't know why you guys do that, but whatever. They want to do it, they can do it. Then just some tips from others. Obey the copyright laws. The marketing toolkit on the international website for our new logo and those items are really good. You want to make sure that you're looking at that. But if you have something that you think might be infringing on a copyright law, make sure that you check that out before you do anything that you don't want to get in trouble for. And then balance the club's legacy and change. That's where you have to let go. We held onto that nut project for 2 members who, they wanted to do it, and it's great, but it didn't get us any money at all. So, and in fact, we paid quite a bit. So, you have to balance that. You have to know when to give something up and when to move on to a new project or a new fundraising idea. You really, again, am stressing, select your committee chairs as soon as possible. That really helps set the stage for your presidency. And you might have a succession planning for that as well. You might already have a chair and a co-chair, and that person's going to step in, and you might already have a few members lined up to join that. That's fine. One year my club set up stations, and we had the current chair stationed in an area, and we had all the other members kind of rotate through. This gave them an idea of what that committee did and what they were responsible for. You can also make sure that you have a job description for your committee chairs, and you can send that out ahead of time to anyone that you are looking at maybe putting in that role, and let them read that and ask you questions. That's usually a good way to do it as well. Offer the officer and committee chair training, and this usually is best by the person who's already in that position. But if you have someone that maybe doesn't have the expectations that you want, you might want to see if there are other members who can help with that information as well. And then use the materials from Altrusa. Like I said, they've really fine-tuned the website. It's really great. So make sure that you, look at the website. Okay, so make sure you're reading your chats. It looks like Ann is having some really good ideas. So I can't read them quickly enough, all of them, but if you click on the chat box, it'll come up to the side. So make sure you can read through those and get some good ideas here. Create and customize your strategic plan with your board and chairs. That's again a given. And then the agendas in the parking lots. If you come to an area that is a stopper, you can put it in the parking lot and you can get it back out next time you have your meeting. This is our contact information, my email as well as Julie's email if you have any questions. And again, I will follow up, Karen, with you at least on the group tally. I think that's way fast. Sorry, I speak quickly. I hope truly if anybody has any questions, we will take questions. And Julie, I want you to chime in with anything that you feel that I've missed or anything that you would like to say to this group. I am very sorry that we didn't get to have in-person conference. I wanted to do the breakfast that Karen had started. We did a breakfast one year and a lunch the next year, I think. I would love to do that with all of you. Maybe I can join Julie at the Youngstown conference that hopefully will get to take place in 2022. We're keeping our fingers crossed. But I would love to meet with all of you and just share ideas and hear your thoughts on being president. We have a really great group that looks like coming in. So you guys are all doing great jobs and it's really nice to see new faces. I think I've been on the district board for 10 years now, and I think I've seen a lot of the same faces so many times, but it's great to have new blood and to see new people coming in. Not that the others didn't do a great job as well, they did. Just really good to see though that our clubs are still doing wonderful things and moving forward still, even in this weird and strange time. So Julie, I'll let you take over.
Okay, shall I stop the sharing? Okay. Oh, that's much nicer. I can see everybody now, because when you have the full screen, you only see 2 or 3 people. First of all, I am so pleased that all of you took the time to do this. Sometimes it can be really daunting to come in as a president. And I know some people say, oh, I could never, ever do that. It's amazing because those are the people that seem to do the best because they try harder. But I think this is the first step. And please remember that you do have a lot of resources. I've already gotten some emails from people on certain things. I'm more than happy to help you whenever I can. And if I don't know the answer, we can find it together. And that website, I'll tell you, we just did a presentation to our home club on the website. And we had so many people that said, wow, I had no idea all that stuff was out there. So it is worth taking a while and just sitting down and going through the website tab by tab and scrolling through to find all the information that's there. I know it's been so hard this past year or so. I never did get to one of my club visits because they hadn't been meeting. And that is such a shame because we don't want to lose contact with people. So one of the things that I am hoping to do, because we're all familiar with Zoom now, is to have some interim presidents meeting via Zoom so that we do get to know each other and we can share some ideas and maybe, solve some problems for each other. So we want to do that. One of the things that I am hoping to do is if people have not been able to attend, to hold this training again So later, maybe July or August, to see if people need some more or want the training. And we are going to be doing some webinars or some PowerPoints or something to help some training, because that's one thing is communication. We need to communicate, and it's been so, I think we've lost touch kind of during this whole thing. We've been so isolated that's one of the things that I hope to do, is to really truly increase that communication so that we build that. We can do a lot if we do it together, and we need to grow. As Suzanne said, we lost 3 clubs, and we've got a couple more that are dangerously close. And so we want to really work with them. I think we've got a super team coming up. I am very, very excited. And I think that we'll be able to make some strides now that things are hopefully loosening up and we can see each other face to face. How many of you have been vaccinated? That's the biggie. I think that people feel much more comfortable now that you're vaccinated, and that maybe that will help people feel comfortable getting back together a little bit. I'm open to any suggestions you have. As I said, there's never a dumb question. When I was teaching business courses, I always used to tell my students, if you think you've got a dumb question, say it anyway, because I will guarantee that there's at least one other person that has that same question. So you've got my email, and don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. And hopefully we'll see all of you this evening and tomorrow. Okay? Back to you, Suzanne.
So I just want to say thank you. And Victoria has a comment here. She's worried about being able to keep up with all the timelines, and that I know it is tricky. We kind of outline that in the PowerPoint. Maybe do a check sheet for yourself, a checklist, put it in, keep a calendar, put it in each month of your calendar. It really does go fast, and it really does get tricky to make sure that you do keep up with those timelines. And I think that's why the club annual report sometimes gets missed, because people have so much going on at that time where you're, that May to June time where you're putting in new officers and things. I think that's where that kind of slips through the cracks. But if you maybe, just keep a calendar and put all the notes on, for even put it, a week before or 2 weeks before, whatever you need. I know I'm kind of a procrastinator, so I butt up against those timelines all the time. I honestly feel like I work better that way, except it's more stressful. So if you maybe try to alleviate some stress for yourself and give yourself some guidelines ahead of time, that will help you keep up. And again, don't be the only one. I'm terrible about that too, but if you have another member in your club, the person, maybe the vice president can help you. You can sit down and write the club annual report together, and then that way it'll get done. That's sometimes using the buddy system is a better way to make sure that things get accomplished. So just a couple ideas. If anyone else has any ideas for Victoria, feel free to share them.
And if you think yours is daunting, we just got the biennium calendar from the international president. It's 13 pages long.
Wow.
But you know what I did? I went through it. I highlighted, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And so then I can put that on my calendar so that I know, this is coming up. So I think it's really important that you do something like that. I live with to-do lists. I have to have a to-do list, because otherwise things get lost. But everybody has their own system. I'm a person that if it's not in front of me and I can't see it, it doesn't exist. So I have file folders all over the place and labeled, this is what I've got to do today and this is what I've got to do. So find your system. And it really, really does help.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Anything we can help you with? I hope we do see all of you tonight and tomorrow.
I just wanted to
We'll
thank
look
you.
forward to
ladies.
this. It'll
Nice
be an
job.
adventure. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, well, I guess we'll see everybody later, and Karen and I will follow up with you.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting now.
Bye.
Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.